Random House Audio presents The New Rules of Marriage, What You Need to Know to Make Love Work, by Terrence Real. Read for you by the author. The New Rules of Marriage provides operating instructions for 21st century relationships. It walks you step by step through the fundamental skills of getting, giving, and having, teaching you how to get what you're after in your relationship, how to give your partner what he needs from you, and how to sustain and enjoy the closeness that healthy getting and giving brings. Why do today's relationships need a new rule book? Because we are in a time of great change. The roles of men and women have dramatically shifted, and so have our expectations about relationships. We have never wanted more from one another, more passion, more support, more connection. But our new desires have not been matched by a corresponding new set of skills, and for most of us, whatever we learned growing up about relationships is simply not sophisticated enough to deliver all that we hope for. Am I saying that we now need to be actively schooled if we want to have a satisfying relationship? Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. As children, most of us were taught how to read and write, but precious little about how to conduct ourselves in the one area that means the most. We don't expect someone to step into a car for the first time and drive without training. And yet this is precisely what we expect of ourselves interpersonally, as if handling an automobile were a more complicated task than keeping your relationships on course. Relationships might have been that simple back in simpler times, but they're certainly not that simple now. And the unfortunate results of our naive inattention clog our roadways with wreckage. Bad wrecks in the form of rampant divorce, limping wrecks in the form of marriages that survive but not very happily, and functional heaps in the form of banged-up relationships that run well enough, but that could be a lot more satisfying. Fortunately, you can do better than this. Much better. You can assert your wants and needs in ways that maximize the possibility of getting what you're after. You can bring your relationship back on track when it lurches off course. And most of all, you can cherish and enjoy one another, building on each other's strengths just as you did at the start. You can do all these things. You can do them consistently, and you can do them well. But you must learn how. While I have described what you're about to hear as a new rulebook, an owner's guide to today's relationship, its real goal goes beyond introducing you to the ideas and tools of an effective relationship technology. Its deepest ambition is to introduce you to a whole new way of life I call full respect living, an artful way of handling yourself that allows you to assert your truth and your needs, while at the same time honoring the truth and needs of each person with whom you interact, especially those you love. Are you happy with the relationship you're in today? Or are you frustrated, knowing that no matter how hard you try, the open-heartedness that first drew you and your partner together seems awfully hard to win back? Perhaps you're in a difficult relationship that needs substantial change. Or perhaps you're in a good enough relationship that could be made better. Maybe you're looking for a new relationship that doesn't repeat the mistakes of the past. In any case, if you're listening to these words, chances are you feel that something has been missing. It might be tempting to avoid acknowledging that feeling, but I'd like to ask you to trust your instinct. 25 years of helping couples change and grow has taught me that if you feel things could be better, you're probably right. A lot better, in fact. People may tell you that what you're looking for is unrealistic. I don't think so. Well-meaning friends and family may focus on your need to compromise. I don't want you to. Your relationship is too important for compromise. Your work may be rewarding, your kids great, and your friends wonderful, but in the end, your bond with the person you live out your life with, the one you grow up and grow old with, is the single most important connection you will ever have. I want you to go after what it is that you want, with skill and with love, and get it. Both in counseling couples and in workshops I've led around the country, I have taught people from all walks of life how to turn bad relationships into good ones and good relationships into great ones. Because great is what you're really after. Great is what you deserve. Not merely a relationship you can live with, but one that is truly alive, passionately, tenderly, maddeningly filled to the brim with unexpected twists and turns, with comfort and solidity, with the sense of knowing and being known, and loving one another anyway. How do you get such a relationship? You don't get it. You build it, thoughtfully and skillfully, brick by brick. Do you have the skills to do this? Have you been taught the craft of creating and sustaining a truly great relationship? If you're like most of us, your upbringing, that curious mixture of what you've picked up about how to be close, from society in general and from your family in particular, has not only failed to give you the tools you need, but has actively filled your head with a bunch of unhelpful nonsense. Nonsense like, you'd better not make him too angry, or if she really loved me she'd, or I could only be happy if you would. Like a tennis player who's performed well enough with rotten technique, in order to master relationships, you don't just have to learn how to do it. First, you have to unlearn all your bad habits. Think of me as your intimacy coach. Together, we're going to strip down your usual relationship routines and redo them, from the very basics. Will it be comfortable? Probably not. If it is, it means I'm not doing my job. Imagine going out on a tennis court with a totally new grip after years of holding your racket in one familiar way. Comfortable? No. But does the new, proper grip give you a more effective stroke? Once you get used to it, there's no comparison. Hearing this, a part of you may be wondering, has the game of love really grown so technical that I need an intimacy coach just to have a decent relationship? Whatever happened to falling in love and, well, just getting along? That kind of spontaneity is fine, if it's working for you. Ask yourself, is it? If you're like most people, the honest answer is somewhere between a definite no and not as well as I wish it would. If that's the case, don't be embarrassed, you're in an awfully big boat. Roughly half of all marriages fail altogether, and of those marriages left standing, how many are really fulfilling? How many truly great relationships do you see around you? Everywhere you turn, it seems that people who can be terrific parents, friends, workers, and neighbors fall short in the one arena that matters the most. As if that weren't sobering enough, consider this. The grim picture of relationships I'm describing has been relatively stable for the last 40 years. The emergence of couples therapy in the 1950s has done nothing to change it. Self-help and psychology haven't put a dent in it. Multi-million-dollar government programs and church initiatives have been helpless in the face of our current intimacy crisis. What is going on? Try as they might, most experts aren't helping much because they fail to address the fundamental issue. What's robbing your relationship of the closeness and passion you deserve is history, or more precisely, your particular moment in history. If you are like the millions of men and women who feel dissatisfied, you have been trying to negotiate a 21st century relationship using 20th century skills. Your expectations of what an intimate relationship is, emotional sharing, mutual support, responsibility, vitality, all belong to a new kind of marriage, one very different from our parents or grandparents. But your old rulebook and your bag of relationship tools, your game plan and ways of coping, are not nearly as fresh as your vision is. One of the reasons why men and women are so frustrated and confused with one another is that the nature of marriage itself is undergoing a sea change. In the beginning of the 20th century, with the coming of the Industrial Revolution, men left their farms in droves and moved into the city to work. Before urbanization, everyone pitched in together in all sorts of ways. But from then on, men began working away from their families, while women and children stayed home. The great roles for men and women of the 20th century were forged. Man the breadwinner, and woman the caretaker. Both at home and in school, children were raised to have character traits that suited these roles. Boys learned to be strong,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?